You haven't seen half of Deni yet. The next step in Avdija's development. Translated article. Israeli Sport 5 did a piece about Deni. Thought it might be of interest to some of you. It's a bit long, but interesting. Here's the translation. A lot has changed this summer for Deni Avdija. His team, of course, the city, the home, the routines, the friends, the coaches, the atmosphere, the arena, the fans, the weather, and basically everything he knew so well over his 4 years in Washington. Now, he will have to learn it all over again in Portland. But one thing, above all, has remained the same: his hunger to maximize his potential. In the summer of 2023, Avdija worked harder than ever to bring out his true talent in the 2023/2024 season, establish his status in the NBA, and justify his top 10 draft pick. After achieving a breakout season where the 23-year-old Israeli finished 6th in the race for Most Improved Player, he entered the summer of 2024, aiming to build on the momentum and take another leap towards the top. It sounds promising, but we're here to talk specifics. So what does that actually mean? To answer that once again this year, we took a behind-the-scenes look with Avdija's coaches to hear exactly what's happening in the training sessions, what new elements have been added to his arsenal, and what to expect, or at least aim for, in the upcoming season. Deni is by far the hardest working player. There's no comparison, said Oded Brandveen, a former player and the director of the Clutch training facility, who worked closely with Avdija this summer. This was true last summer as well, and this year it's even more intense. He's hungrier and more obsessed with his work than ever. No one even comes close to him in this regard. He takes himself as seriously as possible, eats right, and maintains his body constantly, like an all-star. Deni is always the first to arrive at the training facility, he continued. He had many sessions at the beach at 6 a.m. with Regev Fanan, and by 7:45 a.m. he was already starting his basketball workout. After that, he would go for treatment, and by 5 p.m. he was back for shooting practice. Regev Fanan continued as Avdija's fitness coach, and at the start of the summer, like last year, shooting coach Adam Filippi arrived in Israel. These three main coaches worked with Avdija during the off-season, along with 2 staff members from Washington who came to Israel and the coaches in Portland, and each of them shared how the hard work and magic look from their perspective. During last season, I did a huge video project on Deni, said Brandvine, when talking about his and Avdija's preparation for this summer. I took all his offensive actions and divided them into 16 to 17 folders. Deni is a perfectionist and thirsty for knowledge. He's a student of the game and very easy to coach. He has an amazing attitude. In terms of basketball, the summer of 2023 was entirely dedicated to shooting. We knew that immediate and drastic improvement was necessary, and there would be no shortcuts, he shared. We dedicated 4 months to shooting, and it paid off, from 29.7% from 3 to 37.4%. This summer, of course, we also worked on Deni's shooting. It will always be an essential part of his training. However, after the significant improvement in three-point percentage, we invested a lot of time in the in-between areas, the areas between the paint and the three-point line. According to the Instat website, only 219 out of the 2,273 field goals Avdija has taken in his 287 NBA games came from areas other than under the basket or outside the arc. That's 9.6%. True, basketball is moving more towards layups and threes, and no one expects Deni to turn into DeMar DeRozan or Kevin Durant from mid-range, but he must add a dimension that diversifies his offensive game and opens up more options. He's talented enough for that. We worked on floaters, turnaround shots, and mid-range, and emphasized the ability to stop and shoot. So he's not just driving hard to the basket or shooting threes, Brandwine explained. We wanted Deni to know how to create plays for himself, generate separation from his defenders, stop, and rise for a jump shot. This is something the leading players in the NBA do a lot, and Deni knows he can be a leading player in this league. Players who handle the ball a lot need to be versatile in these areas. For me, this should be his next step, and I believe he has the body and skills to do it. We expanded Deni's bag, skill set. He has such a powerful first step, he's so athletic, and he has an unbelievable body. So, he needs to know how to do all these additional things. Most of the time, we worked on face-up moves, but Deni is a player who knows how to start plays facing the basket and then transition to playing with his back to it. Because he's such a versatile player, it's important not to get tempted to do too much with him and to really take one or two topics and focus on them. I feel we've done that well. So far, we haven't seen a signature move from Avdija in half-court play, beyond a strong right-hand drive, and Brandwine would also like to see some updates in this area for the upcoming season. I would absolutely like Deni to have another signature move. I think his bread and butter are his right-hand drives with the shoulder and threes, but as he becomes a more central player and gets the ball more, you'll realize that you haven't seen 50% of what he's capable of. Deni can do so many more things, and I have no doubt that this season we will see them at a much higher intensity. It largely depends on how Portland uses him, but he himself is ready to take his game a step forward, and as long as the ball is in his hands, the fans will see things they haven't seen from him before, things I've seen with my own eyes. We've seen 50% of his potential so far, and he's only 23. Like all of us, Avdija didn't expect to be traded and move to the other side of America this summer. You can split this summer into two parts, before the trade and after, said Fanon. After the regular season, Deni rested for 2.5 to 3 weeks, then started training in Israel with full communication between us and Washington. Our relationship had already deepened, and I knew what they demanded. In any case, the goals remained the same: improve mobility, hip work, stability, and how he holds his body. Of course, we always focus on strength and athletic ability with him. Brandwine reflected on the training atmosphere after the trade. There's no doubt that in the days following, I saw an element of surprise in Deni. The day after the trade, he was already in training. He didn't take any time off and immediately switched to business mode, understanding that his success depends solely on him. Deni also understood that the Trailblazers gave up quite a bit for him, so he's coming to a place where he's wanted and has growth potential. This year, we did more outdoor training, which was very important to Deni, Fanon continued. I also wanted to take him a bit off the basketball court because of the mental aspect and because it's a different kind of work that adds elements to athletic ability that are hard to develop on the court. Working without the basketball allows for a focus on small details. We did very early workouts. They give Deni peace, and he's different during those hours. There were Wizards staff members here in Israel, even on the night of the trade, Fanon shared. They wanted to see exactly what was going on with him, and then suddenly everything changed. No one had any idea. After that, Deni flew to Portland and trained there for a few days. He has an excellent strength coach with the Blazers, and I passed on what he needed to know, both personally and physically. The focus points didn't change when he switched teams, but every system works a little differently. In the last 3 seasons, Avdija played in 233 out of the Wizards' 246 games, an impressive stat that didn't leave Fanon indifferent. Credit first goes to Deni and then to his system in the NBA. Their load management is very well done. In the EuroLeague, for example, we burden players more because the weight of each game is greater. Deni isn't the type to take it easy on himself. He's tough and knows how to play through pain. It's very important to him to play. He brings European culture to the NBA and takes excellent care of himself. The fact that he trains hard doesn't necessarily expose him to injuries. He plays at very high intensity 95% of the time, sometimes too much. In this aspect, kudos to Washington for teaching him to occasionally ease off the gas and take care of himself. In basketball, there's a lot of work on acceleration and deceleration, he said, as he delved into the fitness training he did with Avdija this summer. Sometimes people think that speed is all that matters, but all the really good players who want to create space from their defenders and better control their bodies need to have good deceleration too. This year, we put more emphasis on slowing down. That means not just jumping, but also knowing how to land, not just sprinting, but also stopping quickly and changing direction. Many players don't know how to do this, and these things are also crucial for health. This work reflects in Deni's basketball and improves him. There are specific exercises that work on deceleration, Fanon added. The basic exercises in the weight room are concentric work, which focuses on muscle shortening. But here the emphasis is on eccentric work, which is about muscle lengthening, teaching the muscle to work while stretching. Typically, people in the gym focus on concentric work, but with players, we want to work on the opposite action as well to give them better control over their bodies. What has changed since the move to Portland? A different style of training has been added to Avdija's routine: Pilates. The Blazers' strength coach is unconventional and loves Pilates work. As soon as we saw that Portland emphasizes this, we found Deni a Pilates trainer in Israel who helps him in this area. He does Pilates with machines more than once a week and really connects with it. We believe this will help him transition even more smoothly into the Portland system if that's what they're looking for. Pilates works more on internal muscles, stabilizers, core, shoulder girdle, and range of motion. Many basketball players do it. Additionally, Deni has a personal physiotherapist named Tamir Chen who works with him twice a week. These trainers dive into details that we strength coaches don't reach. Felipe also spoke about working with Avdija during this off-season, but not before describing the rapid progress the Israeli made from being one of the least efficient shooters in the NBA to shooting nearly 40% from three for most of last season. Last summer, our main goal was to synchronize Deni's legs and arms during his shot so it would flow better. His percentages can go up or down. That's less important to me. Now defenses are already taking him seriously. The main thing is that he catches the ball with the intention to shoot whenever he's open, and that his body language shows he's ready to shoot even after a few misses. It's not easy to accept your mistakes when you're a young player, the senior coach explained, but those mistakes are critical for growth. Deni's approach is more important to me than his percentages. Most of the time last year, he was around 39% from three, and this season, I expect him to take more shots. I've never met a player who absorbs what he's taught as quickly as Deni, he admitted. This kid makes hard things look easy. Sometimes he does things in practice that amaze me. What takes another player 2 to 3 months to learn takes Deni 5 minutes. I love teaching him a move or drill and letting him add his own twist without limiting his creativity. Last summer, we focused more on the mechanical side, and this year, we added creative elements with movement and dribbling. We worked on mid-range shots and moves around the free throw line, and this new dimension will help the Blazers. Deni is a special player. In 2001-2, the Los Angeles Lakers appointed Felipe as the head of their international scouting department, a role he held until 2010-11, being part of 3 of the club's championships. One of the Lakers' stars at the end of that decade, Lamar Odom, helped Kobe Bryant win his last 2 championships, 2009 and 2010. And Felipe sees similarities between him and Avdija. I'd like to think that Deni can develop into a point-forward playmaker in the style of Odom, he said. He's one of the best players in the NBA at grabbing a rebound and leading a fast break. Deni has reached 50% of his potential, and I couldn't be prouder of his development. His mentality has improved so much since last summer, and I credit his desire to improve, as well as Regev Fanon and the rest of his support system. Interestingly, Avdija's percentages improved last season by 6.9% from the field and 7.7% from 3, but only by 0.1% from the free throw line, 1.7% below his career high in 2021-22. And Felipe was not fully satisfied with this. Deni's free throw shooting intrigued me because he didn't show improvement despite having excellent technique. He's still learning the mental aspect of free throws, how to ignore misses. Recently, he made 98 out of 100 free throws in practice, and during our 10 days in Miami this summer, he shot 91%. Both are personal bests since I started working with him 18 months ago. Each of the 3 coaches was asked what they would like to see from Avdija this season, and these are the goals set by the people who know him best in the training lab.
On the baseline, Jones bounces, Avdija, 3! For the Washington Wizards. They'll be playing the Clippers in their next game. Going to be here in LA for 4 days. Deni's got yet another one. Shot, weak side rebound is a good one by Kuzma. He gets to the dribble, bounce, and a good bounce, skip pass.